Welcome into another Auburn Live show, the Modcast edition of the Auburn Live. We have the whole crew here. Make sure you go to auburnlive.com, subscribe. It's 50% off right now. And with everything going on, you probably want to be a part of the Auburn Live community. AD search, coaching search, basketball coming up. I say coaching search, like probably head coach. I mean, come on. And then basketball coming up and all that good stuff. All right, we got the whole crew here. Cole, Jeffrey, and Keith, believe it or not, is alive down there.
Keith's entertainment enough, dude.
I'm kicking, man. I'm kicking. We got lucky.
Where are you?
Lucky down in Tampa. You know. But
are you at the jump house?
No, I got that. That's Tampa Plant High School right behind me.
Oh, home of Nate Craig.
I don't have power at my place, so I went over to a friend's place to help him clean up his front yard this morning, and it's a mess. We lucked out. We didn't get the water, and the wind wasn't probably but half of what everybody else got south of us, but it's a mess. It's a mess, and I think I've been without power since about 7:45 last night, which is fine. I don't like. I love candles, Jeff. You know, I'm a big candle guy. You know, but no, everything's good. I mean, I feel bad for the people. You know, you really feel bad for the people down in Fort Myers, Venice, Naples, those areas, because it looks atrocious. Yeah, but everything's good. Everything's good. I'm gonna put myself on mute. You guys talk, and when you need me to say something, just let me know.
All right, we'll just keep them on mute for a while. I'm just kidding. Yeah, there's like two. I mean, there's like I haven't seen the latest, but there's well over 2 million people without power in that state. Yeah. I mean, it's probably gonna be 3 or something. I don't know. It's insane. I want to know what his favorite candle is. Can we get like Keith's top 5 candles?
Pumpkin spice.
Yeah, hold on. I guess I like the pumpkin spice, but really like a cherry flavor. But I don't buy candles. My mom would always buy them for me, and there's things that she always bought me that I always had extra of. I have about 20 containers of chapstick. I don't think I've opened one of them. And then candles, you know. So I always had candles, and now I'm glad I got them because I needed them last night. But yeah, man, this is a big week, man. This is a big week. I wonder how the travel is going to be impacted by the people that live down here that go up to Auburn games, because you know sometimes you don't realize how many Auburn fans live in Florida until you either visit down here or you live down here, and there's a lot of them, and. Yeah, it's a big game Saturday. This is a game that Auburn fans have always looked forward to. But a lot of these people are going to need major cleanup. Might not have time to make it or the means to make it. You know, we'll see. My guess is it'll still be sold out. But, I mean, it's definitely going to be take some work for some of the people down here to get up there, I think.
Yeah, I would imagine. My cousin lives in Tampa, and they stayed put, just kind of hunkered down, and I think everything's okay, probably without power. Same thing as you. So, all right. Well, let's talk about this game a little bit. Auburn LSU. No, we're not talking about last week's game. There's no point. I mean, Auburn flat out should have lost that game twice. But here they are, 3-1, 1-0 in the conference. I was just on the radio in Dothan, and I said. They were asking about Harsin, you know, the timeline of Harsin's, you know, what's going to happen. I'm like, what happens if they somehow win this game and they're 4-1 and they're 2-0 in the league? And everybody talked about, right, what do you need to be in that first 5? You can't be any worse than 4-1. Well, what if he is? They're 4-1 and 2-0 in the league. And but in the meantime, he has no support. And it's like everybody's made up their mind. What an awkward situation that would be.
Yeah. Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility, I guess, even though I have significantly studied LSU over the past couple of days, and I know they're actually pretty sporty in a lot of different positions. So it is going to be a tough game for Auburn, but I don't rule it out. I mean, Jordan Hare at night, you know, LSU, Auburn, always kind of strange. So I don't know.
I think it would say more about their opponents than it does. Listen, I've seen 4 games of Auburn, right? This team is not 4-1. Good.
Right.
They're not. They're just not. The offensive line is atrocious. The quarterback play is atrocious. Everywhere else, you can make a case that it's average to slightly below average. So I don't care what it says on paper. I care more about what I see with my eyes, and this team is not 4-1 good. If they're 4-1, it's because Missouri lost the game, which they did. It's because LSU came to town and lost the game. I'm not saying anything, revolutionary here. We've seen the product that Auburn has put on the field for 4 weeks now against Mercer, against San Jose State, against Penn State, and against Missouri. At no time, at any point in those games, besides the first possession for each against Penn State, Auburn held them on 4th down, got the ball back, drove down, kicked a field goal, go up 3-0. Other than that 10-minute span of football, at no point in time did I say, this team's got a chance to win 8 games.
Yeah.
Right? This team's got a chance to be 4-1.
Yeah,
this team should be 4-1 when they go into Athens. At no point did I ever say that, or at least think that. So I would be absolutely shocked. And if it is 4-1, I think it says more. It says less about the opponents than it does more for Auburn.
Remember that old thing, that old phrase that one of those playoff committees, I don't remember whether it was this one or the prior one, and they used to use that term, game control.
Yeah.
That's how they would separate teams. If Florida State had better game control than USC, they would be the one that would make the final 2 or whatever it was. And when you watch Auburn, they haven't had game control since the first half of the Mercer game, right? Just using your eyes. The first half of the Mercer game was the last time where they really just controlled everything. And, San Jose State, I think they were losing at the half, played better in the second half, but, it was nothing special. Penn State, just got shellacked at the end.
Damn, was Auburn losing at halftime to San Jose State?
Weren't they losing 10-7, I think?
Yeah.
And,
great. Day of the morning.
And then last week, when they were ahead 14-0, I think all of us were probably like, oh my God, is this a different
Yeah.
team? And then, 30 minutes later, it's 14-14 or whatever it was. And it's just, we now have a big enough sample size, I think. They played 2 Power 5 teams. We have a big enough sample size to kind of know what they have. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get better. They can play better. There's, things they can do. But between that and the old line, you're only as good as your quarterback. Your quarterback play, they're lucky to be 3-1, quite frankly, or fortunate. I don't want to say lucky. Well, no, I guess lucky would be the right word after last week, but very fortunate to be 3-1. And I keep getting back to this thing, like, how are they going to generate points against LSU? Now, I think they can win. I'm not going to pick them to win, no way, but I think they can win. But I think it's going to have to be defensive touchdowns, that kind of thing,
Well,
something wild. Yeah, something wild's going to have to happen for. Yeah, I don't see them scoring more than 20 on their own. So
I don't. I mean, I'm kind of where you were, Keith, a couple of weeks ago, where you're like, what have you seen that would make you think Auburn wins this football game? I mean, nothing. You're thinking again. You're going, well, it's at home, and maybe something crazy happens. LSU doesn't play well. You get a couple of turnovers, but there's nothing really like concrete that would make you think Auburn's going to go win this football game. Is there anything that's shocking? Like the quarterback situation, I think we knew as soon as it came out that Zach struggled in that first scrimmage and that TJ was leading the pack. My complete thought about this team changed. I specifically remember being somewhat optimistic. And when that happened, I was like, oh boy, this is not good. Because I just thought Zach had the highest ceiling. I thought if there's any chance to reach whatever.
Absolutely.
And so the quarterback, I guess I'm not shocked at how this is playing out. I thought the offensive line, I mean, my gosh, I know they weren't great, but when everybody comes back, basically, and I know Nick Brahms is out, he's important, he is. But, I mean, they've been terrible. And even the defensive line is getting run on a little bit. I'm shocked that outside of punting, Oscar Chapman, there hasn't been a good unit.
Well, on your subject of the offensive line all coming back and certain guys coming back, I think I was watching the Penn State Purdue game, and an announcer made the comment, you know, a 6-year senior is a curse and a blessing when you think about it. Like, yes, he has experience, but he was not good enough to move on to the next level for some reason. And that's kind of where you're stuck with the offensive line. They weren't, and some of the guys that returned, like maybe Derek Hall could have gone on, but some of these guys were just not good enough to go to the next level. They decided to come back. And you know, they can help in some areas, but right now they're just not. So also, I would say a surprising thing to me is the utilization of the running backs as a whole. I mean, that is obviously your best unit on the team. I don't think we should just be – I mean, I don't think you should just hand it off straight to them every single game, you know, every single time you use them. I think you need to throw it to them, and they do some, but not enough in my opinion. I mean, they put Tank Bigsby at receiver several times in the bowl game last year, and it was effective. You know, threw screens to him, did different things to him. I expected more of that kind of stuff in the offense, and I just haven't seen much of it.
Cole, my question would be, is that just simply bad play calling, or is it a product of them knowing the limitations of the guys on their offense? I mean, we think of those plays as being easy, but they're not easy, right?
Right.
So could it be some of that too, that they don't – that might just be more than they can handle right now? I mean, the offensive line's having trouble with the line of scrimmage, let alone other places. You know, I don't know. You tell me.
No, it definitely could be. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't see and fans don't see at practice where they go, okay, we've tried that. That's not going to work in a game for sure. But then you also, on the other hand, have, well, we've seen things that don't work in games. It might be time to try something and mix it up a little bit. But it seems like there's sort of a stubbornness to do things such as get under center and run the football, you know, in short yardage. And that's just not a great choice sometimes because you don't have the personnel to just move people off the ball. So, you know, I'm saying maybe you need to try some different things, even if they may not work at practice. I mean, it couldn't hurt at this point, right?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I just don't know what you do offensively. I don't know. Robbie's going to be your guy. This might be the first game, by the way, that we have one quarterback. I mean, you know, Holden. I mean, just based on what we just saw, Holden only played because Robbie got hurt, and when he did get in there, he threw a screen. He didn't look ready. He didn't look ready for the moment at all. And so I'm not sure the fate.
He had to follow that jet sweep to the tight end. It's pretty tough.
Gosh,
that was a phenomenal play call.
That's when the laughs started coming for me.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
I remember tweeting that play out. So when did that happen? Was that
Middle third quarter?
It was his first play. It was his first play.
I literally put that play out. I was like, they ran a jet sweep to John Samuel Schenker. It went nowhere. Like. And I mean, it was just like, that's all I had to say. I didn't have to make, that was the commentary.
That wasn't the same one they ran in the bowl game, was it? Didn't they run some kind of weird?
Yeah, they did that. They did that from under center. It was a little bit different. Same concept, obviously, but
same.
I mean, you know, they're clearly, whatever. They're seeing something. I don't know if there's like a play, Cole, is there a play where he kind of pulls and it's a running play and they're thinking the motion, they're just going to think he's pulling. And like, what are they thinking when that play happens that they're like, we're going to catch him with this one?
Yeah, and he's going to break free for a 3-yard gain.
We got him.
What's the best case scenario here?
I don't know what the answer is, but you know, you start thinking, how much more creative could they be? But then you start thinking in your head creative plays, and then you say, do they have the offensive line to pull that off? Do they have the receivers to pull that off? Do they have the quarterbacks to pull that off? Hey, for all we know, as bad as this may sound, for all we know, this may be all they're capable of running. I don't know. You know,
true. But the most creative play we've seen this year, at least I have seen this year, I believe it was against Mercer when Robbie came in motion, took the handoff from TJ, and he ran a freaking option around right in with Tank. You remember that play? And Robbie kept it and gained about 40 yards.
Yeah.
So you've had the most luck or the most success running the football, mostly out of the option, whether it be read option or RPO or that little sprint option to Robbie. And that's what I was expecting to see against Penn State. I think I said it a couple. I expect to see a lot of option against Penn State. Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Didn't see it. Haven't seen it since.
So in hindsight, maybe they should have. Everybody talked about how vanilla they were early on, but they ran that play. In hindsight, maybe they have saved that one? You think?
Well, I thought they were like, okay, we're going to show Penn State so they can, prepare for this, and then we're not going to run it at all. I don't know. I don't know. What do I know, dude? I'm a recruiting reporter.
Well,
but
Jeffrey,
we're
not in the meetings. We're not in the meetings, guys. So I don't even know what we're talking about. I mean, if we're not in the meetings, I don't think we should say anything. That's what I've learned.
There's an old line. This guy that I used to was like a fellow media guy down in Florida. I think his name was Larry Vittel. And people would say, hey, listen, you're not a coach. You're not. What do you know? And he'd say, listen, I've never given birth, but I know an ugly baby when I see it. And I always love, and there is some truth to not being in the meetings, not seeing what they see. We get that. On the other hand, you do come across as condescending when you, as a coach, talk like that. You're supposed to make everybody feel like they do know something. But, when you make a lot of money, and he's not the only one guilty of this, by the way, when you make a lot of money, you probably start thinking you're smarter than you were before you started making all that money. And you're really just the same guy. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I meetings or no meetings, the end result's the end result, and they ain't getting it done on offense. That's for sure.
Well, my frustration comes from I've seen them, throw to Landon King and get a mismatch with him and make it work. I've seen them throw a slant to Amari Kelly, a quick game throw. I've seen them, do things like that and then not even attempt it again.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think those are things that the defense dictates. I think those are things where you go, all right, I'm going to take a shot here because nothing else is working. And they're not doing it. They do it once and then don't go back to it. And that's what's frustrating to me, whether, we're in meetings or not. I can see that and say that needs to be something you try again. At least you need to try it again. Just try to get things going. So.
Well, the three whipping boys on our board have been the last year. I bet three of the biggest. A lot of them. Bo Nix, who really I don't think he ever was as good as I thought he'd be, but he wasn't bad. And then Nick Brahms, right? Nick Brahms. I bet a lot of people wish Nick Brahms was still out there.
Yeah.
People who cursed him on the boards. And then the third guy was Mike Bobo. And I wonder if there's people that wish they had those three guys back right now. I don't know. I mean, but again, we're only 4 games in. I get that. And I still think it's more of a talent thing than a coaching thing right now. That's just me. But, you guys may disagree.
Yeah. You say we're only 4 games in and you say it like, hey, guys, we're only 4 games in. There's time to turn it around. When you say that, I hear we're only 4 games in.
It's going to get worse.
Gosh, it's going to be a long season.
And look at the schedule.
It's hard to, we're barely in October, and I feel like it's already November. I don't know. It's a good point. They don't go to things. They don't go back to things. Mike Bobo wouldn't make much of a difference because Harson's heavily involved. Harson's basically the play caller, and I don't really get a lot of the play calls. I think the struggle is if Ashford's your guy, to me, the only chance you have is to go zone read in the run game, try to account for a blocker there, use Tank, use him. But I just don't think that's a part of their offense. And so you can't just throw that in there. And Ashford's not Nick Marshall. If you notice in Mercer or whatever, in those runs where Ashford runs, those are designed. He's always going to pull it, and he was always going to run it. He hasn't run legitimate read, pull, give. Nick had those instincts. I don't think Ashford has the practice or the experience to legitimately run that anyway. So it would almost have to be just play calling every time, like give it to Tank or you pull it and run. It's not going to be in Robbie's hands. You would have to almost call the right play every single time to do it. But I just don't know how they're going to consistently move the offense without that run game option, stuff like that being implemented when you have those athletes. But I don't know how you do that in a week. I don't know how you make that your offense. That's not Brian Harson's offense. That's not what he runs.
And even if they did try that, Justin, you'd have to figure what would happen last week would happen again, which is that eventually defense is they're gonna figure it out. And that's what happened last week. That Auburn run game, they figured it out. They figured out how to counter that. It does look like there is some adjustment period in trying to tackle Ashford. I mean, that guy is an elite runner, man. I mean, and maybe that's Auburn's best bet, to just try to continually get a lead early while the defense is trying to figure out what to do with him and hold on for dear life. But, that's just not going to work too many times. First of all, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. And even if you get a lead on some of these teams that are coming up, I mean, you're right. You're right, Justin. It looks pretty bleak. We'll see what happens Saturday, but you just keep coming back to the one thing. How are they going to generate points? I mean, they had trouble generating points last year and the year before, right? And now the line plays worse, the quarterback plays worse, the receivers plays worse, the play calling we think probably isn't great, and you start thinking, okay, all this, and they weren't exactly scoring 40 points a game last year or the year before, so it's pretty troubling.
And to make matters worse, a really impressive LSU defense comes to town. I'm telling you, they're in the tops in the country in a lot of categories for a reason. They got some dudes, as Keith says.
Well, they had trouble with Jordan Travis, but the FSU quarterback, but the difference is he's not only an elite scrambler and runner, he can throw too.
Yeah.
And, I just don't have the confidence in Auburn to be able to throw like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and as athletic as Ashford is, man, the SEC is really athletic too. Like you're about to, Ashford's it's a whole different ball game. He's going to see a different ball game even this week than he saw against Penn State or Missouri, when he drops back and takes off to run and those kind of things, and he gets like 3 yards because he's chased to the sideline. He's like, okay, these guys are fast too. I mean, it's a different deal. It's a different ball game.
And wait until next week. Where they have the fastest. Georgia's got the fastest defense probably in the country, and they practice every day against a high quality runner.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It doesn't look good.
Before we lose Keith, I wanted to get in this. We're talking about LSU's defense.
Yeah.
Last week Tanks more or less was 77.5. Justin and I both took the over. We thought 20-25 carries would get him over 77. It didn't. It didn't even get him halfway there. So Cole and Keith both took the under, hit. This week, the more or less, I should say, 64.5. 64.5 for Tank. And I'm getting these numbers from prospects, man. I have fallen in love with prospects, dude. It's a lot of fun, man. If you're not familiar with prospects, it's a daily fantasy, man. And you're picking against the numbers, not against anybody else. Projections on all of the different sports. And right now, prospects got a promotion with Auburn Live to go in, download the app, set up your account, and any deposit made, prospects will match it 100%, up to 100%. So you go in there, you deposit 50, they'll match you 50, man. A lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun doing it. And that's all. But use the promo code War Eagle, all caps, one word. And they will match you 50 up to $100. And it's a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun, especially when it comes to Auburn. We're going to give you the more or less on Tank Bixby. 64.5 this week. 64.5 yards rushing for Tank. What are y'all taking?
I'm taking less because why not? First of all, I've been terrible on picks this year. I feel like generally I'm pretty good with Auburn. I follow them every day, obviously. And I feel like in the past I've had a pretty good feel. This year has just been a joke. I
have no idea, right?
I have no clue what this team's going to produce. I keep thinking maybe certain things will happen a certain way, and it just doesn't. So there's no reason in the world I should think Tank's going over that. So I'm going to go under that. They've been terrible. So that's what's going to happen. He's gonna go less.
Yep.
Keith?
I
Cole?
think we lost Keith there, maybe.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go less again. I went less last week, and it's all because of what I said earlier. You know, I see these things happen that kind of work, and then they don't go back to it. So I don't have any reason to believe that again that they're going to do it the way that we want them to do it. You know, so
Cole's going last. Keith, Tank Bigsby, 64.5 rushing yards against LSU. You going
All right,
more or less?
I think I've hit these pretty good. I'm going to go over this time, and I'm going to tell you why. LSU is going to sell out so much on defense. They're going to sell out so much on defense, and they're going to get pretty confident, and they're going to have so many tackles for loss that I think Tank is going to break off the longest run of his career. I think he's going to have a 60 to 70-yard run in this game solely because of that. And I don't think Auburn wins, but I think solely because of that, he's going to end up with between 80 and 100 yards with 160-something yard run in there. So I'm going to say over.
all right.
Okay. Well, here's my logic here. He had 20 carries or 19 carries against Missouri. He rushed for 47 yards or something. If he can't rush for over 50 yards against Missouri, there's no way he's going to do it without a big run. Now, Keith, you're projecting him to have that long run. It's going to have to happen. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it. So I'm going less. I'm taking less than 64.5. You know what? They've got Prospects has got, listen, they've got Shedrick Jackson. They've got more or less for Shedrick Jackson receiving yardage, 41.5. They've got Javarius Johnson, more or less, 45.5.
Where was he last week?
Yeah.
What the hell? What in the world? I'm sitting there going, is Javarius Johnson alive? He was out there and he played a ton. And it was like some point in second quarter or third quarter, I was like, is Javarius Johnson, I mean, what did he do?
Hey, here's Jaden Daniels. His more or less for passing yardage, 205.5. 205.5.
That would be over his average, I think. Let's see.
205.5. Oh, I'll tell you, man. I'm sorry. I could have looked that up. Because on Prospects, you can look this up.
I'd go more.
I'm definitely going over on that one.
More, Keith. More.
No,
Justin,
you could say over now. That's Associated Press style, believe it or not. But yes, more than whatever that number was.
205. So you're saying 206 or more.
I'm going less.
I think I am too, Cole.
He averages 208 yards passing per game. But I actually think Auburn's secondary is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're pretty good, especially DJ James. I think he's really good. So they were a bright spot in the Missouri game if you're looking for one, to me.
I don't think LSU is going to need – I keep hitting this, damn it. I don't think LSU is going to need to pass the football.
You know what LSU's kind of dealing with that's similar to what Auburn's dealing with is they have had somewhat trouble trying to get it to Keyshawn Butte.
Yeah.
Not like they should, I guess you would say. Because Daniels – his completion percentage is 73%. I mean, that's what you want. But – the reason his completion percentage is so high from watching them, he's going to take off and run maybe even more than Ashford would.
Yeah.
And that's his plan. That's
Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, it's super hard to defend, man. Against Mississippi State, I watched a proportion of that game, and it was like he just dropped back and then we run. Next play, he drops back, he'd run. It was like football. You're like, you can't every play.
He's their leading rusher, and it's really not close.
Well, here you go, Cole. Then if you want to do that, we'll do Jaden Daniels, more or less 40.5 rushing yards.
More.
Okay.
Yep.
40. So okay. So he's going to rush for more than 40.
I think so. Yeah.
Anybody else want to jump in on that one? I don't know. I don't know enough to. I'll just be flipping the coin here.
It's hard to imagine it's not over. I mean, he runs so much, and Auburn's secondary is decent. So there's going to be times where nobody's open. There's going to be times where Derek Hall comes off the edge or something, and he just goes. So I would go over. If Auburn, if he goes less than that, it's either two things. Auburn did a phenomenal job on defense, or he didn't have to, and he throws for 260. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, if he doesn't, it's I don't know. The band's playing one way or another if he doesn't, I guess. But I would go over.
Hey, I'm going to go ahead, Cole.
He's got 2 games. Well, one of them was he rushed for 93. That was against Mississippi State. Against Florida State, he rushed for 114.
Damn.
So the 2 games that they played that were not really big games, New Mexico and Southern, he only had like 18 and 37, but he was able to throw it more.
Right. Makes sense.
I'm going to take more on that too, only because, or my reasoning behind that is Auburn's linebackers.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like they are they're responsible for keeping the quarterback runs in check, coming up and whatever. So I don't have a lot of faith in Auburn's linebackers. So I'm going to take more than 40 for his rushing total. Keith,
I'll say over as well. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I think there'll be some yards. So yeah, I think over.
Good. Hey, if y'all aren't a member or haven't downloaded Prospects, man, y'all go check them out. It's a lot of fun. Make 2 to 5 picks of more or less. They set the line. They set the number. You make your picks, man. Prize picks. War Eagle, all caps, one word. Go put that in your promotional code. They will match you up to $100, man. A lot of fun.
There you go. Well done.
I enjoy those, Jeffrey. I enjoy discussing those.
No, you don't really get a lot of college numbers like that.
No.
And listen, I'm up 40, by the way. I'm up 40 on the year.
Nice.
So the more picks you have, the higher the ratio, obviously, of your winnings. So if you pick 2, they might pay you 2 to 1. But I hit a three-teamer a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 5 to 1. I hit big. So I'm not up 40. I'm down 60. But hey, I'm up 40, baby.
Yeah.
What else about this game? I mean,
recruiting, baby.
Yeah, recruiting. I was gonna go there. I was trying to think if there's anything else. To talk about, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, well, we can do recruiting a little bit. I mean,
Brendan Council is going to start at center.
Yes, yeah.
According to Justin Hokanson.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I mean,
right.
It's different. I mean, it's going to be different. I mean, Irvin wasn't good against Missouri, so Council will start at center, and then Keandre Jones or Alec Jackson will start at guard, and we'll see. Council's played a lot of snaps. He's bigger than Tate Johnson. Past that, I don't know. I mean, I have no clue.
I'm just saying, Tate broke his arm, didn't he?
Messed his elbow up, yeah.
Oh, I saw that when they showed the clip. I was like, yeah, I don't want to see that. That's hard.
I'm just curious to see if Council, it's the most forgotten thing about playing center or long snapper. Do you get the snaps right? Because that's the last thing the offense needs is a bad snap or two. That would be my worry. Never seen him snap, so.
He did a little bit in fall. I mean, I mentioned him a lot in the fall because he was out there. He was part of that rotation when it was obvious that Brahms was out. It was Tate Johnson, Brandon Council, Jaleel Irvin, and then Avery Jernigan kind of came on a little bit late, like sort of came into the mix there. But he did go through a lot of fall camp and did take a lot of reps at center. So it's, I think last week it was probably, or within the game, I think it was like put Jaleel in. Now give him a week to prepare, and I think it makes sense to put Council there. Other than that, I mean, you got Coy Moore, who's coming off a good game, moving into the starting spot over Malcolm Johnson Jr. He's going to maintain that spot there. TomGreenavail.com reported that Finley was out again this week, which we kind of expected. He hasn't practiced, even though Hartman continues to say that everybody is day to day. Other than that, I mean, it's crazy is health wise. Other than Tate, I mean, they're pretty. Tate and TJ, I guess it's a big one, but health wise, pretty good. I mean, no real big injuries or anything like that so far. So I mean, they're coming in fairly healthy. DJ James is coming along, has had a couple of good games against Penn State, Missouri. He's had 8 targets, only allowed 1 catch. So he's doing good things. Defensive line, maybe they kickstarted something against Missouri. I mean, they had a few sacks, had some tackles for loss.
I think Cole said that LSU starting a true freshman at left tackle
and right tackle.
Oh, yeah. Both true freshmen?
Yeah, that'd be Will Campbell at left tackle. He was a big recruit last year. And right tackle, Emory Jones, a guy that Auburn offered and recruited pretty heavily. But, yeah, actually, Emory Jones in the film that I watched was the best pass blocker, I thought.
Was he good or was he just the best pass blocker?
No, they have pretty good pass protection for Daniels.
Okay. So that'll be a challenge, but we'll see if they can continue to get a little bit of pressure going.
Zach, what's the updated line today? I know it was 9, I believe, at one point. It started with, I think Cole said Auburn was a 1.5-point favorite when the season began. Then it fell to LSU -7. Then it was LSU -9.
I think they were 1.5-point favorite less than a month ago, like before the Penn State game. And after that, it just,
According to Zach in the back, LSU -8, over under 46.
That's low.
It's a good over under. That's probably, I feel like it's a 21-20 game, 2017 game, something like that.
You going to take Auburn in the points?
Who, me?
Auburn, you're getting 8 points.
Oh boy, I did see an interesting stat that was like it's only happened a few times. The last 2 or 3 times that Auburn's been a touchdown or more underdog at home, they've won outright. The last couple of times, there's times where they haven't. Obviously, Alabama's come to town, I think, and been the much better team. So, it's I don't know. It's hard to pick Auburn to lose to by 10 in Jordan-Hare. LSU's good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? This isn't like a national championship team rolling in here. It's a team you can beat if you do some things right. But it just you look at what's going on offense, man. I mean, they scored 14 against Missouri. Well, they only had to go 20 yards for one of those, and then it goes 60 for the other. I mean, it's hard to think. How do you manufacture 20 points on offense? How do you manufacture 350 yards of offense with this group? I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll take Auburn to cover, but I can't take Auburn to win. I can't.
No. You know what? I think Jordan-Hare under the lights Saturday night against LSU is worth a touchdown. That's how Auburn's going to get 20 points, because I would have them scoring 13 against LSU. Otherwise, I'm going to give them an extra touchdown because of the atmosphere and stuff like that. So I'm going to give them 20 points. I'm going to give LSU 23. I'm going to take Auburn in the points under 46. I've got LSU 23-20.
My power's running low on my phone, so let me get my pick in now.
There you go.
Do this to you guys. You're doing all the work. I'm gonna take LSU to win 23-13, and I don't think either team. I don't think this is a typical a kind of a powerful LSU team. They're still trying to get in the rhythm of having a new coach. They're not really overwhelming anybody. And really could have lost the Mississippi State game if Mississippi State doesn't muff a punt inside its own 10. Yeah. I think it was in the fourth quarter. So, but then you start comparing the two teams, and they look better just across the board, but not a lot better. So I'll say 23-13 will be my final.
So Keith, that's the same score I have, except I'm giving them a touchdown because it's Jordan-Hare under the lights.
I'll tell you why. As hard as Jordan-Hare, I've never seen any home field advantage like this. I do think LSU is conditioned to play at night. They play almost all their games at night. And obviously the crowd is going to be cheering for the other team and not them. But I think they're kind of used to those types of night atmospheres more than most teams. Now, granted, it'll be a lot louder when they have the ball at Auburn than when they do at home. But I think they're more acclimated to that. So I'll say 23-13. But that's it, guys. Thanks for doing everything for me this week. And I'll catch you guys later, all right?
Deuces, big dog.
Yeah, see you guys. See you, Cole.
See ya. I will go with I think it'll be a close game going into the second half. And then I think LSU pulls away kind of late. Score maybe doesn't reflect how close it was at one point. So I'll say 31-17. Also, I believe Auburn is one of the teams in college football who has not covered the spread yet. So,
Well,
I keep that in mind.
I was looking for LSU's schedule. They've played. I mean, the Florida State was in the Superdome. It was basically a home game. Mississippi State was at home. Have they played a road game?
No.
Damn, really?
Auburn hasn't either.
Yeah.
I know. Well, in this game, I mean, it's something to consider. LSU first legitimate road game. I mean, it's at least an opportunity in the first quarter or two for Auburn to try to take advantage of that.
Sure.
If they're capable of it, I have no idea. Yeah, my score would be the same, sort of in the same realm. I mean, maybe 24-20, maybe 24-20 LSU. So I mean, it's something like that. It's hard to think LSU is going to score. If they get to 30, Cole, I'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
But it easily could happen. I mean, it could happen. I'll say easily, but
with turnovers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Auburn's offense didn't turn the ball over to Missouri. Can they do that for the second game in a row?
LSU's secondary is significantly better than Missouri's as well.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be another conservative game calling. They're not going to try to put a lot of risky situations. I cannot afford to turn it over. They just can't.
I'll give you the stat that caught my eye. I put it on the board yesterday. Is LSU's pass rush really, really benefits the secondary too, because their pass rush is awesome. They got 11 team sacks right now. Ojulari is probably their best pass rusher.
BJ.
And he'll be back. He was actually out last week, I think. But they have 11 sacks as a team. 10 of those, 10 players are credited with at least half a sack. 10 different players. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
That's pretty good. I think Auburn's up to what, maybe 7 sacks or something like that in the season.
6 or 7, yeah.
6 or 7. They're almost to 60. That's their goal. They're almost there. All right, so we're all kind of taking LSU to cover. All right, so despite what we've seen on the field, it's a massive recruiting weekend. Wow. Was this planned already? Is this one of those things where these guys were already coming, so it didn't really matter? Or how do people on the outside are going, wait a minute, how in the world are 3 5-stars and all these 4-stars going to Auburn? Why would they be going? I mean, explain what's going on here.
Well, Alabama's playing away. Auburn's got basically the biggest SEC game in the Southeast, if I'm not mistaken. That Alabama-Arkansas is CBS 2:30, which is at Arkansas. I think the 11 o'clock game is who was it? Either way, Auburn's the biggest game, pretty much. Auburn, at least on paper, for the LSU. You want to play under the lights. Of course, we've been expecting a big visitor list since the Penn State game. This is kind of the next game, the next big home. And with Auburn's home schedule this year, you've got Texas A&M left, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
So
A&M in Arkansas.
So, Auburn definitely wanted to take advantage. They haven't had one under the lights yet, at least a big game under the lights. They had Penn State at 2:30, had Missouri at 11. So this was a big opportunity. Then you've got, like I said, the other teams playing away. So it kind of worked out well for Auburn. But right now they've got 3 official visitors coming in. Tony Mitchell, the 5-star, is going to be the headliner of that group. 5-star safety committed to Alabama. From Thompson, Zach Etheridge went and watched his game. And this will be his second game of the year. He came to Auburn, I believe, for the San Jose State game, unofficial visit. Went to Texas A&M last weekend. So this guy's not like he's just, Auburn's his only other option right now. He's taking other visits as well. But he's got a really good relationship with Zach Etheridge. I thought I think he had originally planned to come for that A&M game, moved it up to this weekend. So he'll be back. Alex Sanford, the Arkansas commitment from Oxford, Mississippi, is coming over from Oxford, Mississippi. And Cole, you really, and then Braden Joyner, of course, he's coming for his official visit this weekend. But back to Alex Sanford, Cole, you've been our Alex Sanford expert on this guy, and you really feel like Auburn's got a really good shot here to flip this kid.
I do, and I think he still likes Arkansas. Don't get me wrong there, but man, he is very intrigued by what Auburn's telling him. He's very intrigued by Christian Robinson. They have a great relationship. I think that would probably, if you asked him, what's the one thing you want to see this weekend? I don't think he would say a win, or he wants to see Christian Robinson. That's number one, and he wants to meet him in person. And I think he's met him, but he wants to get to know him, and he'll have time to do that on the official visit instead of just being there at the game. So, good time to have him on campus. I think they timed that pretty well because he was wanting to come earlier and earlier, and they said, well, just hold off. Let's get you at the LSU game. That'll be a big one. Let's get you there. And now that's finally come, and he's very excited for it. And I think Auburn's got a great chance to flip him if they push, and it sounds like they might be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they will. And I thought it says a lot that you've got Arkansas playing the number 2 team at home in the SEC 2:30 game, and this kid who's committed to Arkansas wants to come to Auburn for the LSU game. I think that says a lot. But the unofficial visitors is, man, you say what you want about the team, the product you've seen, even the commitment list. But, man, these guys have gotten these kids on campus, some top recruits. You've got Quay and James Smith, the 2 5-stars from Montgomery, coming back. You've got the on-3 5-star defensive lineman, David Hobbs, who was an Auburn. I think he visited back in the spring. I remember this kid. He kind of fell off, but maybe that was just us not doing our jobs properly. But he's coming back.
It was an official visit when he came too, by the way.
It was?
Yes.
He came for an official visit?
I believe so.
Well, dang. I must have been in Alaska or something. and then the edge and the defense is really impressive. We talked about Rusau Smith, David Hobbs, Keldrick Falks coming back for another game, Gabriel Harris coming back for another game, Reuben Baines finally coming up for a game. He's been wanting to return to Auburn for a while. Now, this is all weather dependent, Justin, because, a lot of these kids from Florida are having to deal with transportation issues. You saw Keith and the lack of power down there, and these kids are from Miami, so they were hit pretty hard with this stuff. And Arion Carter is coming down from Tennessee. This kid's kind of blown up in his recruitment. Alabama, Auburn, you name it, Oregon, Florida, Tennessee. Everybody's offered this kid just in the last week. He's committed to Memphis, but he's finally going to come over for the game. And then most of the commitments are going to come. And then the defense, you're just going down this list. Stanquan Clark, 4-star linebacker from Miami, Reuben Baines' teammate. He's coming up. Edwin Joseph, the new offer from Hollywood, Florida, Chaminade Madonna, Sean Shivers' high school. Mm-hmm. So you've got a really – and then Tadarius Collins is coming up from Louisiana. So you've got a freaking very impressive defensive list. I thought the offensive list, to me, the most interesting one was Clay Whedon from Tampa, the Michigan State commitment, who was really high on Auburn back in the summer, ended up committing to Michigan State, but Christian Robinson went by and saw his game last Friday night, or at least the second half of it. Now he's going to come up. And there's some commitments. And then the 2024 class, of course, is loaded too. Miles Graham, Florida commitment. I think he's a borderline 5-star guy. Zaquan Patterson's, Kamarion Franklin, Amon Lane's coming down. Adrian Posse's coming back. And then your boys from Phoenix City Central. So a huge, at least a tentative list. And I'm expecting some more names to be added to the list. We'll see how it shakes out. But very impressive once again. Home visitor list for Auburn.
Yep. Like what's the I want to say best case scenario, but I mean, you're in this weird period that we all know Auburn football is in.
So weird.
Yet they had some commitments. Was it after
Penn State
that they had Penn State? God bless them. But what are your expectations when you have this big of a weekend, this many kids coming in, big game? but you also know where Auburn football is. I mean, it's like I don't know what you hope to get out of it right now.
It is a very awkward situation. But as we learned after the Penn State game, and I think Keith and I said this earlier, but oddly enough, man, these recruits don't look through the same eyes as these fans do.
Yeah,
a lot of the recruits don't. Their perception is not what you would automatically assume. There are, like Cole said, Alex Sanford, he's not coming to see, that Auburn's on the rise, or, he's not going to be basing his decision off of that. I think as long as Christian Robinson is here, Cole, you correct me, as long as Christian Robinson is here, I kind of expect that kid to flip his commitment, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen next week after he leaves.
Right. I agree. And I would say, it's just a testament to Auburn game day experience that guys are just, they don't really care what's going on. They want to come experience that regardless. And that kind of shows you why, even when the staff was perceived to be struggling back in the spring, or, in recruiting, the staff seemed to be struggling or whatever. They were like, let's get to the season, man, because that's where we get some help. We finally get some aid there, because the stadium and the game day atmosphere and the fans and everything is such a great recruiting tool for Auburn. And that's not going to change. It's just not going to change. And that's why it's good from the staff, because they're getting good guys on campus. They're getting big recruits on campus. But, it was the help they needed too.
I think, Justin, you talk about expectations. I think Auburn fans, or at least most of the guys on the corner, have tempered those when it comes to recruiting, especially after the last few weeks as far as the product. You're no longer thinking that Auburn has a chance for a top 10 class or a top 15 class. You're almost in a holding period. You're going to get some guys. Hell, you're going to lose some guys. Carmelo English decommitted, right before the Penn State game. So you're going to lose. Although I don't see any others right now that I can think of. Can't even think of a potential decommitment. Now, as soon as I say that, I'll probably get off here and have to cover one. But I can't think of any off the top. But you're going to pick up some guys who want to play for Auburn. You're going to pick up some guys who want to play for Auburn. Now, we were talking about going into this season, you're going to have to do a lot of flipping commitments to have a top 15 class. And at the time, we talked about Zach Calzada and your expectations. Justin, my expectations were Zach Calzada was going to be a big upgrade at quarterback, and the offensive line was going to be average at worst. And 7-8 wins was certainly doable. Well, the offensive line is less than average. Zach Calzada is fourth string, and not happening. I mean, 7 wins would be a remarkable feat at this point, in my opinion. Yeah. I can't find 2 more wins on the schedule.
Yeah.
So, temper your expectations. You're going to pick up some. And let's just wait and see. I think we'll know a lot more. Both of you probably agree with me here. I believe a month from now, at the end of October, all this could be for naught. We might be hitting recruiting reset, or things will be turning around one way or the. I think one way or the other at the end of October. We'll. I mean, if Auburn's 3-6, the end of October, we'll know where this is headed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If Auburn's, I don't even know how many. I think there's 3 games in October. Yeah, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and there's a bye week in there too.
Bye week's after Ole Miss. So they got Arkansas, Georgia, Ole Miss, bye week, Arkansas. Arkansas is the 29th of October.
So they've got 3 weeks, did you say? 3 games in October. LSU,
Georgia, Ole Miss, bye, Arkansas. That's October.
So 4 more games before November. So that's 8 games. So if you're 3-5, am I doing the math right? No, 3-6, right? No, you'd be 8 games. It'd be 3-5. It'd be 8 games, 3-5. If you're 3-5, 4-4.
I think 4-4 is honestly the best case scenario.
Me too.
If they don't beat LSU, they're not beating Georgia. They're not going to score with Ole Miss, and Arkansas is going to come in here and play a physical brand and has a good offense, and that's not a good recipe either. So,
Yep.
unless things drastically change on offense for Auburn, I can't imagine them being any better than 4-4 November 1st.
And if they're 3-4, let's just be real. If they're 3-4 after Ole Miss, they lose Ole Miss to go to 3-4. If Brian Harson's still the coach and they lose to Ole Miss and go 3-4, I don't see any reason that he's retained after going into the bye week. I don't see any reason. I don't know why you would.
Yep.
You have 2 weeks to prepare and make changes, and I don't understand the point at that point of why you would keep this charade going.
It's and kind of circles back to the whole point of this was recruiting right now. Our job is to cover what's going on in the now and what's going to happen, but we can't foresee. We can't. I certainly can't ask recruits about hot seats and this and that.
All right.
But it kind of takes me back to we're going to keep plugging along like until we know something definitive. We're going to keep covering it like we're supposed to. But I think, like I said, at the end of November, at the end of October, we'll know where this is headed.
Yep.
And I think it is, Cole, a testament to. It's a testament to Auburn and the program. It still is the place. It still is. It's still a big name program. It's got a draw. I mean, it just does. It's just it's a unique enough place that it would take a whole lot. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, there's nothing that shows that more than the worst season I've witnessed in my life, 2012. Literally the next year, Auburn's playing for national championship. I mean,
you're right.
If you ever need to think about Auburn and bouncing back, that's all you really need to know. I mean, the same thing in 98, 99, and then boom, they're in the championship in 2000. So it's a testament to the place, that $100 million football facility is coming along nicely. The thing's going to be sweet.
Yep.
I was told they were going to try to maybe even practice on it this year. I don't know how that's coming. I mean, the grass is in. They could potentially practice on that thing later in the year. But, that's going to be an awesome recruiting tool. But Auburn's not going anywhere. It's good that they're getting these kids in right now, and that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
Right.
That's right. Absolutely.
See where it goes from there. It's pretty much it. Basketball practice. We don't have to talk about it, but just mention it. It started, and that's awesome. Alan Flanigan out for an indefinite period of time. We don't know when he'll be back, but everybody else, a talented team, and it's cool that they're practicing. So we'll be popping into some basketball practices at times, checking them out. And boy, they need a practice gym. But Bruce Pearl's kind of shifting the focus towards NIL right now and wanting to get that straight. And because look, Auburn basketball is in a good position where do they need a new practice gym? Yes, they do. There's too much going on over there, but he needs NIL too. Like that he needs to make sure that he's not losing the best kids in the country. He can recruit. That practice gym could be crap, and he can recruit there. Just make sure NIL's there. And then get the practice gym sort of lined up after NIL gets in a good position. But other than that, yeah, baseball top 10 recruiting class. Baseball's doing their thing. Just need football to pick up the slack here. Kind of the odd man out here.
Yeah.
Kind of the odd man out. Butch and Bruce are doing their thing. Brian, not so much. The old Killer Bee shirt it's not happening. It's such a good idea, but
yeah,
Brian just can't get it going to make that Killer Bee shirt happen. All right, go to Auburn Live, subscribe, 50% off right now. And again, it's a great time with everything going on. It's certainly a great time to be on the message board and get some good intel and perspective and all that good stuff, and read the recruiting happenings from this weekend from Jeffrey and Cole and Keith. AuburnLive.com, subscribe, 50% off. And we'll be back next week to recap an Auburn LSU game that I think we all think is going to be weird in some way.
Yeah.
because it always is, and then talk about Georgia and whatever else the season has to hold. All right. Until then, as next time. Bye.